All right, let's step a little broader into the Big Ten because, guys, this league's an absolute mess. I looked up a stat, Rob. I don't even think you've heard this from me yet, but it's insane to me. Going back in the history of the college basketball reference database, as long as they've kept conference records, there has never been a team that has only won 70% of their conference games that has won this conference outright. If Purdue loses one more game, they're going to be 14-6. That will be the worst winning percentage of a solo outright Big Ten champion ever. And that's insane to say because this Big Ten is down. If Purdue is this elite team, you would expect them to go like 18-2, 17-3 in the mess that is the Big Ten Conference. They're now 0-2 against Indiana. I don't know what to make of this group. Rob, you were shaking your head. Is this group going to have any success come March?
The Big Ten as a whole or just Purdue?
Anybody. You tell me. Is it Purdue? Is it anybody?
No, I'm a little bit worried about Purdue for different reasons. We'll get into that in the next segment. But I'm all in on Indiana. I'm very high on what this group can be. PY, they got Trace. You know how good that dude is. Yeah. But Jalen Hood-Schifino, I would go out. I've said this last night. I think that his performance on the road in Mackey Arena against that team, against your rivals in that environment, going for 35, doing what he did, was one of the most impressive individual performances I've seen this season, if not the single most impressive individual performance. Mackey Arena, I don't know if you guys have been. It is a top 5 home court environment, and you're going in there for a rivalry game as Indiana. He's a freshman. It was unbelievable. And if he can do that, and you got the other guys making shots, Miller Kopp, Tamar Bates, Race Thompson, Trey Galloway, who was awesome the other day. Like Trey Galloway's the quintessential like white dude from Indiana, right? Like it doesn't get more quintessential.
Oh, he's tough, man.
He's tough. He makes shots. Man, he doesn't make mistakes.
This close to having dunk of the year.
He's the first one in the gym. He's the last one to leave. He's a coach's son.
You're telling me shades of Will Sheehy here, aren't you? That's what you're doing.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of that to him.
Yeah, he does have a little bit of that to him.
He's everything you want Stu Douglas to be.
Oh, Jesus, man.
No, he was that close to punching it right on Zach Edey. Like he had the advantage. It went a little long. I was really impressed by him in that game. But you know what was so interesting?
Hey Pat, talk to me about Trace. Like what makes him so good? We've seen guys that are as athletic as him before, but like how often do you see dudes that dominate games the way that he dominates games?
Well, you know, people might not notice, but his hands are massive. Like the first thing, he can just palm and catch a basketball so easily, and that might not seem like a major thing, but it really is. That level of control helps him with his passing, his touch, his feel. I mean, he's one of those guys that just doesn't get tired. He's a great passer. Purdue pretty much took him out of the first half of that game, and he found a way to still contribute to winning. I mean, he's going to go down. He's already a top 5 Indiana scorer of all time. I don't know where he's going to potentially could end up, but what makes him so good, I mean, his expertise, his leadership, his poise never seems to get rattled. He has the same look on his face the whole game. He's got like the Eli Manning face, the whole game. But you know, and it's interesting because he doesn't shoot the 3 ball. You know, a guy like that doesn't shoot the 3 ball and can be that dominant. And he runs. He's a gazelle. So he's got all these attributes that I wish I could have had when I was there, when I was playing. But man, he's a stud. Like this is my first chance this year getting a chance to really watch him because I heard his name a million times, and I'm like, yeah, he's a dude.
You know what I think is really interesting about him, Greg? Not to cut you off, I'll be quick on this. When we talked with him after we went to the Indiana-Illinois game last weekend, and when we talked with him afterwards, he said that prior to this season, he kind of accepted that if he got 18-9, he was doing his job. So he went out there trying to get 18-9. And he said what Mike Woodson has gotten out of him and has convinced him was like 18-9, that might be good enough to get us wins, but it ain't going to guarantee that we get a win. Like you got to go out there and try to get 30 and 20 every single night. And he said that it never really like occurred to him to do that, right? He was always like, I'm going to go get mine, and that should be enough for us to win. Like then I did my job. And when he kind of like had this realization, is like, you know, I could do more.
I can do more.
Right? Yeah, I can do more. And now he's out here putting up player of the year. I don't know if he's going to get it. I think it's probably going to be Zach Edey, but he's putting up player of the year numbers. It got to the point last night, Greg, They basically said, Zach Edey, we're going to put you on Race Thompson, but you ain't going to guard Race Thompson. You're going to stand right there next to Trace with the dude that's guarding him. They basically guarded him 2-on-1 when Indiana had the ball. That's the level of respect they had for Trace Jackson Davis.
Well, I mean, that's as any team should do to Race Thompson. Let's be honest. Like, give Matt Painter some credit. But come on, what are we doing here? No, the most impressive thing on Trace to me goes right in line with what you guys are saying. And Pat, you called it out. He's not a shooter. When you think about big men, and talking improving year over year, like from your junior year to your senior year, what's the stride the big man's going to make?
Right.
So much it's just like, oh, he added a jump shot. He worked on the jumper in the gym. Trace didn't do that, and he's better in every element of his game this season than he has ever been in his career. The assists are the most impressive part to me, especially when you lose Xavier Johnson. I mean, this team lost their point guard. Things weren't looking great in early Big Ten play, and then Trace just flipped a switch and said, "I'll be the best player in the country."
Yeah,
It's
and,
wild.
and don't get it. And can't get it twisted. I mean, look at Al Horford. He didn't shoot threes his entire career at Florida. Went on to the NBA. Didn't start shooting until the second half. This last few years of his career. So that's not. It's not like this is all that Trace can ever become. Like there's still a ceiling, but what he's able to do, just focusing on his role and embracing that, man. Any team that takes him in the future is going to be very glad that they have him.